basically, all of our instruments are plugged into this mixing desk, as one would find at a normal concert, and then that is recorded directly into the computer. Then, yeah, it could be done in probably a half an hour altogether.
So we can listen to this song on the internet, basically a few minutes after you record it?
Yes.
Entitled Saturday, it's a catchy number about the end of the world. Dark Phase are giving away their download for free to try and create a buzz about their music.
We've got it up there now.
So now you've released a single, we're going to come back in a few weeks and see how it's done. So, you confident?
Yes.
Yeah. Should I book the space on top of the Pops? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. This technology is shaking the music industry to its core. But the majors say this revolution can help them, making new talent easier to find. John Kennedy is the head of the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, which looks after the interests of record companies.
If certain artists are able to give themselves a leg up on what's a very complex and competitive business by using the internet, I think that's only to be encouraged. The great thing about the music business is the newcomers often teach the establishment how things should be done.
The major labels now say that they just love the internet. Well, they've changed their tune. Not so long ago, they claimed that the internet was killing them. We interviewed John Kennedy in 2002, when he was boss at Universal.
Record companies are definitely suffering in a very serious way as a result of what's going on the internet. Sales are down dramatically around the world, and this is the year in which we felt it most.
That's because control of music on the internet was seized in the 1990s by people they regarded as their mortal enemies.
It was kind of kids and people who, you know, geeks and techies and music fans and all sorts of different types of people were coming together to get involved in a music community.
And these people were a nightmare for music moguls. They wanted us all to enjoy music without having to pay a single penny to the record companies. In their millions, they uploaded CDs onto the net and offered them to the world for free.
People were starting to, you know, go, I really love this track. Don't you love, you know, don't you like it as well? And they go, well, I haven't heard it. So then someone would say, well, here it is.
The people who did it called themselves file sharers. The record companies branded them pirates.
They have to understand that taking music on the internet without permission is exactly the same as walking into a record store and helping themselves to a handful of CDs.
Okay, so leaving aside the stealing issue, this is the 1990s. The internet is an incredibly exciting place to be. If you're a music lover, all of a sudden you can get all the music you want from your computer. It's a revolutionary culture. But all the record companies wanted to do was stamp it out. California was the birthplace of this revolution. Led by student Sean Fanning, he launched Napster, the most popular pirate site of the lot. At its peak, his site was visited by 80 million people, all pillaging music.
I started it, you know, just because I thought it was exciting. It was just sort of a small project. It doesn't seem like a job to me. It's just fun stuff.
But the majors and many of their artists were not amused. Rock giants Metallica took on Sean Fanning in a legal battle, backed by the big record companies.
Napster was so obviously wrong that we should have been able to get it closed down overnight.
But some in the industry argue that the Big Four made a serious mistake in taking on Sean Fanning. They reckon they should have helped him go legit, allowing him to distribute their music to the millions who visited his site. Alison Wenham is chairman of Britain's Association of Independent Music, which represents small labels like Nislopi's FDM and the Arctic Monkeys' Domino.
We looked at the whole Napster phenomenon as an opportunity. All of a sudden we had this global platform with upwards of 80 million people sharing music, albeit without paying, but we did extensive market research with Napster to show that there was a conscience amongst the fan base. A very high proportion would migrate to a paying service if one was available.
But the majors now insist there never was a serious deal on the table.
There was no attempt to pretend that they were going to license from us. It was something which was very damaging to the business. There was no choice.
In 2001, after a bitter legal tussle, Napster closed down its service. But it was replaced by other pirate sites structured to make them harder to prosecute, known as peer-to-peer sites. The industry's problems got worse.
At the time peer-to-peer file sharing first came to the music industry, global revenues were $40 billion. Now they're closer to $30 billion. A very large part of that is down to piracy.
By April 2003, more than 1 million tracks were being illegally downloaded at any one time. It was then that the Big Four decided that an even more drastic crackdown was needed. Gina Harkle is a jazz singer. She writes and performs her own music. Her son Louis is one of her biggest fans. But one morning, thanks to Louis, she got a bit of a shock.
Louis' father came into the room with this envelope which he'd just opened, and he was ashen-faced and said, "You won't believe what's happened." And I said, "What?" And he said, "We've got caught for downloading."
They were being sued by the record companies because Louis had pirated over 1,000 tracks. He saw downloading as part of his musical education.
The good thing of downloading is your ability to just download anything, absolutely anything. I mean, beforehand it was the case of finding out a great deal about an album or a musician before you went and bought their music. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I learned a whole lot more about music.
But it was to prove an expensive lesson for his mum and dad.
It was such a fat letter, and it said that it was £2,500 for illegally downloading, and we had to pay that within 2 weeks or it went up to £4,000.
They had to borrow the £2,500. Louis was very sorry.
I know at the end of the day I'm stealing from people. I mean, like, my mum is a jazz singer, so I see the effort and required to make a CD, make an album.
Just when the crackdown on pirate consumers started, a legal alternative began to emerge after Apple gave the world the iPod.
iPods were very sexy pieces of kit.
It was a device that consumers wanted to own. It was an aspirational device.
You can leave the house with your entire record collection in your pocket.
The iPod portable music player became the must-have item for the fashionable. But when they first arrived in 2001, sales were slow because most online music was still illegal. To flog iPods to a mass market of people who didn't want to break the law, Apple had to persuade the major labels to put their music up for sale on the web. And they succeeded. Apple knew it had a winner on its hands. In 2003, the corporation launched iTunes, a